Welcome to Wild Pursuits with Cross Trail Outfitters, where we guide the next generation to Christ through the outdoors. Join us around the campfire as we share stories of faith, courage, and adventure. All right, welcome to Wild Pursuits with Cross Trail Outfitters. Guys, I am so glad that you're here with me as I say hi to our friends from, where are they from? I can't even see where they're from. Oh, Wisconsin. They just pulled in just now, just in time to wave at us right when we're getting ready to get started. But that's the exciting thing about Cross Trail Outfitters. We're here at our 13th annual Cross Trail Outfitters of Missouri annual banquet at the granddaddy of them all, Bass Pro, right here in Springfield, Missouri. And I'm excited to bring to you tonight, to this podcast, we've got Maverick Lopez and his mother, Cassandra Lopez. And we're excited for you to hear their story, because one thing that you guys are always getting to hear about in CTO is the lives and the changed lives that God does through CTO. Now, what's exciting about Maverick, he is one of the original, I should go back and actually check, Mav, but I would say definitely in the top 10 or the first 5 kids of CTO Missouri history, right? He's one of the young boys that God laid on my heart when he was approximately, do you remember?
I think it was like 10.
10-ish? I was going to say 9 or 10 years old.
But he was saying top 5, but I was actually the first person to shoot a deer in Missouri, so I had to get that fact.
See, he's getting that fact straight already. You're absolutely right. And I do actually remember the fact that it was, like 5 degrees?
Yeah.
How many inches of snow?
There was a lot of snow. Yeah, it was probably like 6 inches.
Yeah, a lot of snow in a late Missouri season. And I do remember that because we hung the deer that night.
Yep.
And we went out the next morning. Our director at that time said, "Bouse, I need you to go out there and get that, you and Maverick go out there and take care of that deer and break it down." And went out there and it's frozen solid. Well, any of you all know when you try to break down a deer frozen, it doesn't work that good. And of course your hands are freezing and all the stuff that's happening. See, I completely forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
So that, you're right. So he is one of the first one to ever kill in CTO Missouri history. So, and here we are now. How many years?
At this point,
Maybe 16 years
yeah,
ago?
like 16 years, I think.
15, 16 years ago.
Definitely before Kirk ever drank coffee.
Okay, that is a true story too, because the Mocha Extremes that we had, I learned that the fact that if we didn't, if I was going to survive and keep up with 10-year-old stud kids, and even though I was in pretty good shape back then, I was going to start drinking coffee. And the only way I could do it was to pour about 3 or 4 things of hot chocolate in it to make sure that I could actually edible. Well, now I have an addiction of just creamer, coffee in my creamer.
Yeah.
Thanks to that. So, see, Maverick's going to come up with all these stories. So, this is supposed to be about you, not me. Okay, this is a podcast about you.
No, yeah.
This is not me. Okay, so as you can tell, there's lots of amazing stories, and there's also some personal stories that you're going to hear. So I've asked Maverick and his mom, Cassandra, who's good friends with my wife, Jennifer, and of course good friends with all of us as well, to come on here tonight just to tell their story. So Maverick, we'll start with you.
Yep.
I know we can get into some other stories, but tell us what CTO was to you and just kind of your first experiences and how it helped kind of shape you in your life.
You know, originally when you had asked me to speak at this event, it's kind of funny because I feel like we're probably actually going to talk about it now, and then it'll give me a good framework once we're actually out there. But there was for sure like a monumental moment. I think the first time we ever did like the outing, the deer outing, it was like campfire, right? Which is like a big part of what CTO is. It's like, you know, you come out for the weekend, you bond with like a bunch of, you know, men, you like men stuff. But I think a huge like trivial question not a lot of people ask themselves is like who they are. So for me, I remember that first night, the first question was, who are you and why are you here? Right, which is a very like open-ended type question that really makes you look inside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when someone asks you that question, you have to like really break that down, and you kind of go on like this tangent, right? Like anytime you've ever tried to like figure out your why reason, you know, you're like, why do I do what I do? And like you kind of go on this tangent where you're like digging deeper. You're like, okay, I do it because of this, but why do I do that? So for me, that was very monumental, because I think that's also what gives you like that deep sense of purpose. Like, oh, okay, this is the direction that my life is going. So that was like a foundational moment for me. Huge, seared in my brain moment that when I think of CTO, it was like the moment where I figured out, you know, who I was.
Wow. Yeah, and it is a basic question, but it is it is a universal question that we do ask in CTO to this day. It's not used every single time, but especially in those first outings and those first summer camps, when you got a group of young men, or young boys and young men, and you pose that question. And we talked about it a little bit with some of our Texas guys on one of the other podcasts, and they were just saying the exact same thing, how simple it is. And you could answer, well, I'm Kirk Bouse, and I like football, and I love to hunt, and I live in such and such place. But we don't allow that answer, right? We want you to dig deeper. Do you remember what you said that night?
I mean, I remember going on a tangent, and honestly, I'm pretty sure I was just crying. I'm pretty sure I cried for a long time. But no. It was a lot of, like, when I think about where, like, it's something actually I spoke with Mike about. It was like I was always like, okay, I'm excited for the future. There's like so much that I want to do. I remember I was just like starting to like build like this inner sense of like direction. I'm like, okay, I know this is where I want to go. Yeah. Right. And I think going in that direction. Do you remember, like, specifically?
I will give you, because I'll start crying.
Yeah.
I will give you the main beef of what you said, because I remember, because it honestly, you don't know this, but it changed my life. It changed how I ministered, because you looked at me, or looked at us, and again, we actually weren't at a quote campfire, if I remember right. We were sitting around a kerosene heater in a shed, pretty much, a metal building, freezing to death, as close as we can to get there. That was our campfire, and that question was posed to each young man, and I believe you were one of the last ones, and you pretty much looked and just said, I'm really mad and frustrated at God, and I don't understand what just happened to my dad and the things in my life, and don't really know how to quite handle that. And I'm paraphrasing that dramatically. And I remember this guy, this man, I didn't realize at that moment until now, or until a little bit after that, how legalistic I was, even in how to minister, and just allowing the freedom for a young man or any person to just say where they are. I think sometimes we don't want to say, I'm mad at God, or I'm mad at this, when the reality is, God wants a relationship with us. And how's relationships, right? We sometimes have fights, sometimes we have arguments, we disagree, we don't understand, but yet then there's love, there's intimacy, there's all of these amazing things. And I think that's how our relationship with God is. And it taught me that it's okay to just be real with God too. And to allow a young man who was in a lot of hurt, and a lot of anger and things in your life, and rightfully so, due to circumstances, and it just opened up, it changed me, it really did, in how I ministered to young boys, and it changed me just how in my relationship with Christ, and understanding that it's okay to be real with God, because He knows our thoughts, right? He knows what we're thinking already, so let's just speak it. And that's just where, and even my mentor at that time, Brian, was teaching me, now you know where he's at. Now you know right where that young man is at, and now from this day forward, now we know where to go, and we're going to bathe that in mentorship and discipleship and scripture, and more hunts and more fishing trips and more summer camps, and watch the discipleship and the evolution, if you will, of a young man's life. And that's what I saw in you many years ago. So
yeah, I think that moment was sure, like it was definitely a foundational moment where I was like in my life, moving forward from there, very real with myself, very aware of, where I was at. Because it not only tells you, I don't think it just tells the leader where they're at. When you speak the words from yourself, you're like, this is where I'm at. Like, you can't be like,
you can't
say words like that and be like, nah, it's not true.
I just said it out publicly.
Yeah. And then just overall, and even past that is like, I know you've asked me a lot of questions like that, of always asking why. Just like growing up was helped as well, and I think the combination of both, CTO and then mentorship from you.
I was gonna say something to know the timeline of this, because he lost his father when he was 6, but his father was missing for almost 2 years. So we buried him when Maverick was about 8, and so this was probably a year after we buried his father. So just knowing the timeline of that. But for CTO and how it impacted me and my son was, he wouldn't have had any of those experiences. The mentor of godly men and just manly things, shooting guns and hunting and fishing and doing all those things. Like, that's something I couldn't provide for him. And so even though when I met you, you were a personal trainer, and just even your path of going into CTO and the impact that it had on Maverick, it was such a perfect timing for my family. And it's God's timing.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the timeline of where he began his journey with CTO. And one of the things that he recently told me, Maverick, if you remember this, we were talking about him and his sister processing the death of their father and just living without him. CTO, I think, helped Maverick get through that. And I don't think we necessarily realized. And his sister didn't have that. And I think it impacted her in just a different way, that Maverick had something that blessed him tremendously. And that was CTO. Wow. To be able to get through that, and it changed him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was honestly just gonna say, no, never mind. You can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, you're good. I think I appreciate your words, Cassandra, because it was God using CTO obviously in a powerful way, and I think what we would like to see in CTO, to all of our viewers and people that hear this, whether it be now or a month from now or years from now, we talk so much about, we want these young boys and adults and moms and dads and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters and everybody out there to understand that God doesn't promise us good times all the time. He just promises that he never leaves us and he never forsakes us, and he's always there, even during the yuck. But he's also there during the highs, and he's also there during the lows, and understanding that there's a God that loves them so much that never leaves them, and understanding that unconditional love doesn't matter what you do or what I do or what happens to us or our experiences. That love doesn't quit, that love doesn't disappear. And I think it's important for people to understand that, because I'm sure there's people that are going to listen to this podcast somewhere, somehow, and they're going to be sitting there going, that's me. That was me. I lost a loved one, maybe lost a son, or maybe lost a daughter, or a mom or dad, or whoever it may be, and not understanding how to handle that. And I think this is an encouragement to see, not that CTO is the answer to everything. CTO just provides an avenue for young boys to be able to get plugged in, to come in and to be mentored and discipled by godly men and godly manly men.
Yeah,
exactly. Let's just get real. We live in a world that is demasculine. Is that a word?
Demasculating.
There you go. My mother would be like, did I not teach you anything? The boys nowadays, and we allow that boy to be a boy. You know how many times I've seen this guy flip off of the end of a picnic table? And I promise you wouldn't be allowed to do that at most camp situations. And we're just allowing boys to be boys, allow them to climb a tree and sitting up there on a limb. And I can remember at a summer camp, this wasn't you, but you would remember Connor.
Yeah.
Myers, he always was climbing trees, and we'd all be standing around, and all of a sudden, like, where's Connor? And we can't find Connor, and everybody starts doing this because he's up in a tree somewhere, sitting on a limb, listening, fully engaged, but listening to the Word of God, listening to what is happening around him, but he's up in a tree. That is a boy. That is that, and allowing that. Now, of course, there's times that he needs to be right there, and he always was, looking in the eye and saying yes, sir, and all the things that we do. But we just allow you to be a boy and allow you to be real.
Yeah, I mean, when I've thought about this deeply, because I think about where I learned what a man is supposed to be, because I think someone that just doesn't grow up with a father, for the most part, you're not 100% sure what it is.
What it looks like, yeah.
And so I can't imagine someone I can't imagine it, but not to the degree if I just never experienced being around men like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's just, I mean, I'll get emotional talking about it because I've had to create what I believe.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That a man should be, or who that, because you didn't have that role model. But CTO was that connection for you. Sweet but cheeks.
Yeah. So.
I know, and Kirk, you've meant so much to us as a family. In Maverick, because you've had a huge impact on his life. And, like you said, CTO's that vehicle and gave you the opportunity to be that mentor for him, in so many ways. And he always looked forward to the outings and always excited to learn and be around the boys and the other men. And, it really did impact our family in a big way. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, because they did grow up without a father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for our viewers, they would need to understand too, it wasn't just me. There was many other men that have been involved in CTO, that are still even involved in CTO in all kinds of capacities that seeded into Maverick. And it does, the old expression, it takes a village. It does take a village sometimes to raise a young man, but there does need to be those, that father, that grandfather, that uncle, that somebody there, or a family friend, that godly man that has something that they aspire to be. Now, obviously, we want them to aspire to be Christ and to be, that's the ultimate father. But so we always say, yes, inspire to be like somebody, find who that is and emulate that, right? You see that a lot, but ultimately, only if you see the Father emulated in that person should you even be looking at that person. Because we do live in a world now till we emulate all these different people that do certain things and they're really good at one thing, and we just idolize them in such an amazing way and don't even know them. Don't even know what life they're living or who they are, and not saying necessarily that that's all bad, just saying that it's different. So obviously CTO's changed your life. So I'm gonna change the mood because I know this isn't depressing. This is great. This is good because this really tells our viewers and all of us just how awesome CTO can be for a young man's life. Can you remember like one of your favoriteest hunting stories? Or maybe just, it doesn't have to be hunting, it can be fishing experience, it can be summer camp, it can be just a CTO experience.
I would say, if there's a memory that comes to mind, it's not necessarily even hunting. It was the first year at camp where there was it was like a sportsmanship day, and we were on this gator. It was like a double decker, like 2-story, gator.
Texas style.
We were
Michael remembers that. He's over there nodding his head over there.
Literally flying through the woods. It was hilarious. I'm thinking, it was just a little wild. That's a good memory. And then capture the flag.
Oh
at
my
camp.
goodness!
That was
we don't even
intense.
allow that nowadays.
But I loved it. I
Because
mean,
I want to sleep, and I know Jack wants to sleep.
it was the wildest thing, and I was always in sports, so I was super into that. But
Yeah, so that kind of fed your competitive side.
oh yeah, 100%. I was like, this is fun.
Some guys in chapters still do sportsman's challenges, and our camps we're always teaching sportsman type stuff, but we used to always have sportsman's camps. Specifically, and we weren't hunting and doing even some fishing. We were just teaching skills and then teaching biblical skills around the campfire. So at the end of camp, the last full day of camp, we had a sportsman's challenge where you were shooting archery, long range pistols, 22s, maybe a casting contest or something of that nature. And we gave points to do that. And you're right. And I know your competitive side in you. You wanted to compete and to do well when it came to that. And the capture of the flags, holy mackerel. I mean, we had kids showing up in ghillie suits.
Literally prepared for it.
I mean, they were very prepared for it, and I mean, they destroyed me many times. It was crazy how and do that till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Going to bed at 4 in the morning and waking up early the next morning to start it all over again.
Yeah, and that one was intense because back then, what year was that? Was that like 2012 or 2013?
Would have been somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, because camp was like 10 days at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we
CTO
were
camp used to
like,
be
that
10
was
plus days.
long.
Yeah,
I remember
it
we were
was.
there for like ever.
I
I loved it though, but
I think we've hit our sweet spot now. I really do. I think our sweet spot now is we say a week, but really it's a full week, Sunday to Friday, and sometimes it can vary different days.
Yeah.
And it's a sweet spot. Kids will leave and they're exhausted, but they leave wanting more, but yet are kind of ready to go home, and some don't want to go home, and then some are ready, and it's just a sweet spot. It kind of goes back and forth with that, as opposed to, the old 10 days. Yeah, we used to do a lot.
I remember just one of his favorite camps was, I think it was in Oklahoma, the wild hog hunt.
Oh, yeah.
You came home from that just jazzed, you know.
yeah.
And he would get excited to wear his boots and listen to country music. He'd come home and think, man, I kind of like this.
I would go in like cycles. I'd go to camp and I'd be like listening to country music and I'd start talking like this.
That's funny. Do you remember? I'm sure you were there when we would drive to that camp. But there was a song we always played. Live Like You Were Dying.
Yeah.
Everybody, you remember that? Yeah. Just singing that, and every kid was singing at the top of the lungs. And here's a funny CTO moment that is just coming to my mind. Now I probably better not even say that one. I'm trying to think. But do you remember the Billy Bob teeth?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And the guys would dare me to put them on when we'd go to the toll booth, and I would put them on, and all the kids are in the back, and there was this time there was a really attractive young girl out there, and all the guys are googly and eyeing and doing all that stuff, and they're like, put those in, and I'm like talking, hey, I'm Kurt from CTO, and my teeth are all yucky, and every boy is just giggling, all get out, and they're just laughing, and then they all drive away, and that's my future wife. I just think she's so. They just didn't even meet her, right? She's our toll girl, which they don't even have those now, pretty much. So pretty crazy. So that's there's thousands of funny experiences like that. So I remember lots. And you remember.
Cut my finger. Is that what you're
cut
talking
your
about?
finger? Yeah.
I still have a scar from that.
Yeah, you got a big scar from that. That was.
Oh, you still got it.
No, that was
CTO scar. You should get a CTO tattoo on that or something.
No, yeah, seriously.
Yeah, what were you doing? What'd you get? What you were?
I was literally gutting a hog.
Yeah. Got in a hog, and he's like, is that my blood or the hog's blood? And I'm like, judging by the color and fast as it's coming off, that's yours. So we went inside. I called mom, said, this is what happened, but I mean, yeah, you could do an ER. I said, but I could butterfly this and get it taken care of. And I said, otherwise, though, you may have to go home from camp. I don't want to go home. I don't want to do that. I'm like, all right, let's just fix it up right now. And we were done. And we kept on going.
Yeah, I remember that location because I was back with Red Dirt Boar Ranch.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember I used to
Changed hands 3 or 4 times.
Really?
Now it's
Okay.
405 Outfitters. Yeah, they
Okay.
donated a hunt for our banquet here. They do every single year. Bobby
No way,
is
still okay.
awesome to us, and we're still going there. Going there again this summer.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite spots because I mean, out of all the years
Yeah.
of camps, I mean, just super nice cabin and
Yeah.
had like the whole separate area for all like the young kids and then you know the adults
Yeah.
do what they do.
Yeah. It is still a cool place, and it books out quick every single year.
Yeah.
So Cassandra, tell me, you got any top stories? I know what CTO means to you, but can you think of any top stories that him coming home or even just you maybe experience? Because I know at the end of camps, parents come in and get to hear and kind of hear things. Anything you can think of that comes to your mind?
I don't know. I can't really think of anything in particular. I just know that he was always so jazzed when he came home and just so excited. And he loved the pictures with his kill. You know what I mean? The funny thing about Maverick and even his experience with CTO, and to this day, you've still never killed a turkey, right?
Yeah.
The amount of times that he has gone turkey hunting, and he has never killed a turkey.
That was like his curse.
It was his curse.
We never could get this guy a turkey.
He could not get a
I'm
turkey.
gonna-
Well, you know what's crazy is I remember I think it was with Brian. Yeah, I think I was with Brian Utek.
Yeah.
Is that who it was? And I was like, dude, I've never shot a turkey before. And so then he took me out and we were like, we're gonna get a turkey.
We're getting a turkey. I'm getting a turkey right now. I can see Brian saying that.
So we're waiting there, and there's a turkey that starts coming up. Well, then it goes back down. So then we kind of like chase it down. We get close enough. I actually shoot at a turkey. This is the first time I've shot at something and then didn't kill it. So I actually have shot at a turkey.
Okay, so you missed.
So I've gotten closer and closer to a turkey. I've probably hit it a couple times. It just didn't die.
All right, so obviously we're gonna have to get Maverick a turkey one of these days. I had completely forgot about that. That was a demise of yours. I forgot about that.
It was. And one other one that I think of, and you guys actually have still footage on. I don't know if you still do, but you had footage of him killing with a bow.
Oh yeah,
that
I do
deer.
have footage
And
of that.
what was so enjoyable for me is that you guys got footage of it, and so I got to see him, hear him, his excitement, you know, and just experience that with him, even though I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I still love that, and I still play it in my head. I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see the footage.
It's funny that you say it. I completely forgot about that, but I was watching that. I was flipping through some old things. This has been probably a few months ago, and I came across that. And I mean, and you'd never shot a deer with a bow at that time, and literally, like, I'm literally right when you shoot, I'm telling you not to shoot because the deer's starting to move, but I'm videoing the whole thing, and you made this amazing shot on a moving deer with a bow that you don't do, right? and he just has this natural, he's a game, what I call a gamer, and he just has this natural ability. He just knew to move with it, and it ended up being perfect, and ended up being a great shot, and got it all on video,
Yeah, that was
which
wild.
is really, 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 really rare. So that I completely forgot about that. See, Then there's just tons of experiences like that, but we do have that on video. We can try to pull that up for tomorrow night. That would be a fun video to put up to show for our guests at the banquet tomorrow
with
night.
my high voice.
Oh my gosh! You did talk a little different back then. Now you talk all low and manly, but back then it was a little different. Plus, when you're excited.
Yeah, when I watched that video, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so young. That's what I love it though. It's a good memory.
We've been going back and looking at pictures because tomorrow night at our banquet, we're doing a then and now, and Maverick's going to speak. And Maverick spoke at our banquet like 10 plus years ago, or as he said, cried.
I cried at the banquet.
Cried at our
That's what
banquet.
I did. I got in front of everyone and just cried. So.
But what was amazing about that experience was just the fact that it's like everybody understood. And everybody was crying with you, and your brother Luke, you're all going to hear also. He's on our then and now tomorrow night too. Literally just in the crowd, just stands up, walks all the way past everybody, and stands right next to you up on stage. Nobody prompted him. Nobody did anything. If I remember right, I think some other boys followed Luke. If I remember right.
I remember Luke. I can't remember
Who all else?
Who else, yeah.
I just know Luke led the way regardless. And Luke now is actually, he's 30 plus years old now and is a CTO guide for us. And I think that's another thing to kind of mention about when you see young men. How old are you, Maverick?
20, I just turned 26.
26. So he's 26 years old. Talking about Luke, he is 30, I believe. Now he just turned 30. We're having recognizing Brock Utek, who now I believe is your age. I believe now might be a tad older. And we got Michael Most here. That is our national IT director for CTO. But all of these guys are either working for CTO, guiding for CTO, donating to CTO, playing a role in this, and from 15 years ago, and now they are, as grown men, now seeding back into the ministry to help change the lives of the young boys, just like they were at that age. That at me as a director, that is a powerful testament to what God has done in this ministry. For me, that's encouraging for me to see that come back. Because that means it was true discipleship. There was a true changing in that young man's life through Christ, but using CTO to do that and for it to come full circle back around and to give back to make sure other kids are doing what they're doing. So powerful stuff. Well, guys, you got any other stories that come to your mind or anything? It's okay if you don't. I just don't. I never want to later you go, oh man, I wanted to say this. Thing that comes to mind?
No, not really.
All right.
Yeah. Do you have anything?
I don't think so. Last thing that I'll say is that he started out talking about campfire and the question and this and that. You know, over the last 5 years of his life, he's been mentoring and coaching as part of his job and his career. Yeah. And that's something they do. What do you guys call it?
Yeah.
And you've gotten it from that.
That's good. That's actually great.
So now we do a why meeting. And
okay.
It's a why meeting, and then we do the exact question.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
So we do that now as well. So that influenced further.
And you're working with college students, 20-year-olds, and they're getting to sit around and have this why meeting and have those discussions, those deep questions that he's posing to them.
Sweet.
As a kind of a form of a campfire.
Yeah. So it's kind of like moved.
And
into
it got it from CTO.
Yeah.
Really,
Awesome. See, I didn't know that.
No, that same question's had so much impact.
Wow.
So
that's powerful. Thanks for bringing that up. I was not aware of that. That's a big deal.
Oh yeah, it's a real tearjerker. I mean, it's a very emotional meeting.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So I mean that's all I got.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. Your why. That's good. That's very good. Well, guys, this has been exciting. I'm sure we'll be talking more at different times in the future, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say tomorrow night. God's going to use you in a powerful way. We've got a lot of people coming tomorrow night, hundreds and hundreds of people coming to support CTO, and we've got Dr. Jimmy Seitz coming as our guest speaker, and he is amazing. He's from Spiritual Adventure Outdoors. I'm excited to hear him. He's a guy that I watched on TV and always said, man, I want to meet that guy someday too. And he now knows all about CTO, and he's just like, man, I want to get plugged in here. So he's coming to speak to all of us tomorrow night. So that's going to be fun. We got a lot of people here, a lot of amazing things from great sponsors from Whitetail Properties and Luz and all of our partners in CTO. So we're excited about that. So appreciate you all telling your story with us here this evening, and I'm excited to continue to watch your growth. I'm proud of you, Maverick, for the man that you are, and the man that you're continuing to become, and excited about the man that you will be too. So God's not done with you yet, obviously. You've got a lot of years ahead of you to do a lot of amazing things. So Cassandra, thank you for pouring your heart out too. I know it's not always easy to talk about some personal things in your life. So
I know. We appreciate it, Kirk.
No, absolutely. So, till next time, we'll see you around the campfire with Wild Pursuits at Cross Trail Outfitters. Thank you for listening to Wild Pursuits with Cross Trail Outfitters. CTO is a hunting and fishing club with the mission of guiding the next generation to Christ through the outdoors. If you'd like to support us or are interested in getting involved, visit us on our website at teamcto.org. Links are in the description. Make sure to like and share our podcast. Join us next time around the campfire with Wild Pursuits.